From politics to business, we have seen female leaders engage and innovate in ways that have set them apart from their male counterparts. With that in mind, eClub, Shailesh Mehta School of Management, IIT Bombay, brings you the panel discussion on entrepreneurship in 2021, Women Taking the Lead. Spotlighting some of these strong female entrepreneurs, women who weren't afraid to take the less walked road or to trust their genius ideas, regardless of what others said. Today, we have with us our moderator, Ms. Karon Shaiva, who is the Chief Impact Officer at Idobro and is a management trustee of Rise Infinity Foundation. She has a versatile experience of 7 industries and multiple qualifications. She believes in the concept of shared vision, where each one of us are responsible, inclusive, sustainable, and eco-friendly. And when we share these values is when we can rise and work together for a better world and a cleaner planet. Well versed in finance, planning, business development, and relationship management, a woman with a strong work ethic who enjoys writing, speaking, mentoring, training, and bringing ideas to life, especially on women, youth, and social entrepreneurship. Today, we are glad to have you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, and over to you.
Thank you very, very much. And the panel, it's more important to know about the panel, but I guess I'm going to try and keep it as minimum as possible from my end. So that's why an introduction. So thank you very much and good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to this wonderful panel on women entrepreneurs with a difference. Women who have really changed rules, women who have broke barriers, women who have explored unknown planets, and women who are on bikes 24/7. And so it is really my privilege to introduce my panel to you, Khyati Khandelwal and Disha Khandelwal, co-founders of Bikes 24/7, student entrepreneurs and major entrepreneurs in the making, I am very, very sure. Sonia Kriplani, the founder of Sprocket Science Films, who has not only just broken barriers with films and science and artificial intelligence, but now taking us into the unknown and the beyond through the unknown planet. And the originator of Breaking Barriers, Shilpi Kapoor, the founder of Barrier Break, who truly broke barriers from the very moment she started her enterprise. And my privilege to know her since over a decade. And I'm looking really forward to having all of them share with you the insights I have learned over a period and more in the last few days, and a few of them over the few decades. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our wonderful panel, Disha, Khyati, Sonia, and Shilpi. Put your hands together. I'm sure we can put reactions. We may not be here physically, but we can still make sure this is as interactive as it gets. So can I see some reactions, please? Great, great, great. Thank you all very, very much. Yeah. And to get started, I am going to, yes, Keshav, thank you. That's another way to do it. So yes, you can also put it on the chat box and use it. What is the use of digital tools if we don't use it effectively, isn't it? So yes, please do put all your comments and remarks in the chat box. We can have multiple, the only benefit of a digital space as compared to a physical space, you can actually have parallel conversations. Now, isn't that lovely? No one telling you shush, no one telling you stop, no one giving you strong eyes, right? So feel free, use the chat, have your parallel conversation, but with one ear strongly tuned to what our wonderful panelists have to say to you. And so with that, we are going to get started, where I'm going to ask our youngest entrepreneurs, okay, Diksha and Khyati, to please give a very quick introduction, both to yourself and to your enterprise, and to get the ball rolling. Go ahead, please.
All right. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Khyati Khandelwal, co-founder of Bikes 24/7. So a little bit about myself. I am turning 23 next month, and I graduated last year from Cummins College of Engineering, Pune, where I received bachelor's in technology in electronics and telecommunication. During the lockdown, around in the month of April, my father, Mr. Krishi Khandelwal, my younger sister, Disha, and I came up with this idea of Bikes 24/7 when, we realized the untapped potential of the unorganized two-wheeler market. Bikes 24/7 is a complete end-to-end platform for all your pre-owned two-wheeler needs, right? From buying a refurbished, readily available two-wheeler to selling a used two-wheeler right in just a few minutes. Along with this, we have services like RTO services, bike finance, etc. And we recently began our offline operations in the month of September 2020. And very soon we will be coming up with our online presence as well. And I'm really grateful for Karon ma'am, Aparna ma'am, for giving us this opportunity to come and speak with you brilliant women entrepreneurs who are a big inspiration for us. Over to you, Disha. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Disha Khandelwal and I am also the co-founder of Bikes 24/7. I'm only 20 years old right now and I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in mass communication from Symbiosis Center for Media and Communication. I am an advertising aspirant and I have a very big inkling towards marketing and the creative aspect of things. So in Bikes 24/7, we're working on the operations and I'm also working on the marketing, the advertisement, etc. of Bikes 24/7. It has been a crazy journey in the last 7 months where, we've seen so many ups and downs, but it's all been worth it because today we're sitting here, connected with all of you wonderful panelists and I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Thank you so much.
So Disha, what did I tell you? We are here to have fun too, right? So we're going to play games too. This is not just going to be a boring panel, please, right? So you get the choice to play tag and pick the next one to go for your introductions.
So I'd like to tag Shruti ma'am to introduce herself next.
There you go. Shilpi, you're muted.
Yeah, someone needs to unmute me. Thank you, Disha. It's nice to have a youngster tag me. That is innovative, Karon. Been a long time, Karon, since you and I met. Thank you for inviting me for this panel, and thank you, Aparna. It's always a pleasure to come and speak to everybody here. I feel ancient after listening to the two of you. I think when I met Karon, I was a little older than where you are today. And it's been a long, long time. Actually, it's nearly been 2 decades, Karon, since we know each other, not a decade.
Don't remind me.
Yes. So a little bit about myself, serial entrepreneur. Started focusing on the space of making technology accessible to people with disabilities. Started Barrier Break, got funded in the year 2004 by a venture capitalist fund, a social venture fund. Very proudly to say that 5 years back, bought back my VC, and now I'm solely owned. That is to the power of sustainability, I must say. Today, we are about 240 of us. 70% of Barrier Break comprises of people with disabilities. We ensure that we help companies globally to make their websites and mobile apps and digital technology accessible by providing accessibility testing services. So in the last couple of years, we have seen from people not wanting our service to us now servicing 14 different countries globally. And, from being a struggling startup to being one where we have sustainability, a vision for the future, as well as growth and scale that we are looking at, something that very rarely is talked about in disability or in the space of accessibility out of India. So very proud to be here and, to be with all of you and share some of what I'm doing. Thank you.
Great. Well, Shilpi, you need to tag.
Well, it's only Sonia, so I don't have too much of a choice, sadly. So Sonia, over to you.
That's a big choice, believe me. Sonia, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to be on a panel which you're moderating, and you know exactly why. So instead of telling you exactly what I've done, let me just take you through my story. After all, I'm a storyteller. Yeah. In the 80s, and I was studying psychology and arts at university, when I realized that our best art, clothes, food were all exported. Our talent was producing for pennies, was sold in pounds. If this was not neocolonialism at its worst, what was it? We were hustling for a few pennies, giving up our honor. 1 billion strong nation with just Amul as a brand. But life had a different path for me. I didn't have the wherewithal to take this on that time. But when I was barely 25, 26, I woke up in coma, lying there, struggling to walk and talk. I thought it was finished. I was finished. But a wise friend, a woman, Joshna Ruparelia, gave me a computer and said, "This is your path to the world." She then asked me, "What are you going to do with your time? Remember, if you don't respect it, nobody will." I knew whatever I did, it had to be bigger than me. Now, because as I told you, I dream in cinema scope. I have a surround stereo sound in my ear, and I dream in 4K visual. So inevitably, I became an intrepid storyteller and a technology whisperer. Joshna gave me my first loan of 25,000 so that I could start my first company. That's how I decided what my plan of action would be. The problem was still staring in my face. We were in 2000, but it was still, there were no brands from India. So I launched India's premier e-commerce platform and developed websmiths and wordsmiths as media tech support structures. My goal was to stir awareness and provide access to the change makers who were then bringing in a cultural renaissance. Today, you know them as Taran Telyani, Rohit Bal, and Amika Khanna. I feel blessed to be a part of that journey, that where India was building its first few labels. 2000 articles later, 50 lifestyle events later, I realized my journey had concluded. We continue to support them in their digital journeys, but I realized that I had to move in for larger impact. And I realized for larger impact, we needed to harness governance and people power. So I went and got my 2 fellowships. One was in building a creative economy, and the second was in leadership. Sprocket Science was launched. It was truly to take us omni-channel. And through this, I began to tell people stories and reach out to policymakers. Something seems to have resonated because we won 3 Dadasaheb Phalke's. My team brought home 2 Cannes Film Festival awards and 50 international awards. Most importantly, we earned the title of most ethical media company, and I earned a fellowship in investigative journalism. This was the time I was making a film called 17 Not Required Indians. It was when the penny dropped. The film was about freeing 17 men on death row in UAE. It had me drowning between governments and court. I was out of my league. Then I reached out to Good Pitch, and Good Pitch introduced me to Jess Search and Karon Shaiva. Yes, the same Karon that you're speaking to. We all came together to build stakeholder networks, and we achieved not only governance change, we created awareness in the last mile, and yes, we brought back the men home from the death row. This made me realize 2 things. There was a burning need to create jobs at our last mile so that they don't get into similar situations. And that's when Her Unknown World, or The Unknown Planet, was born. It is a social platform that uses video and AR to spark curiosity for Asia and Africa's most talented, safe, and sustainable travel, wellness, and lifestyle opportunity. Using deep technology again, we connect users with the last mile, removing the middlemen. Most importantly, we support our micro entrepreneurs and with technology, training, and tools to make them globally competitive and win their business back. Yet again, pandemic closed a door, but opened a window. Once again, Karon Shaiva gave us rise. This is where we started sharing our stories. Today, I stand here before you, committing to 10,000 stories across our countries, across Asia, and to create 50,000 sustainable jobs. Please do share my journey. Bring me your stories. I promise to show you change. Thank you.
Great. So please, everybody, a round of applause for our panelists. Let me see some reactions and clap, clap, clap in the chat box. Can you imagine such amazing, amazing women? Inspiring is a very small word, I think, right? And we have a whole range, right? Right from a student entrepreneur, a young, just out of college entrepreneur, and seasoned entrepreneurs who have gone through so much to be where they are today. I think really we have that breadth of experience and knowledge that I think should really set the stage for a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I would just like to remind everybody, the chat box is there. Please put your questions there because we may not have separate time at the end to make sure that we can have a separate Q&A session, but we're very happy to look at them and of course connect as we go along and take up those questions as we go along, yeah? To get started, I think I'm going to ask Shilpi, yeah? Because even though she supposedly is in the bracket of a social entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur, she has made sure she has run an extremely sustainable enterprise. 75%, ladies and gentlemen, please listen to this again. 75% of her staff are people with disability. And I'm sure most of us would struggle to even manage one. So Shilpi, please do tell us, what does it take to really, really create this kind of a sustainable enterprise? And I know it's not been easy.
So Sharon, I think the first thing it needs is focus. I remember in my journey going and meeting a venture capitalist called Paula Mariwala, and Paula asking me everything that we do. And I went rattle about what all we do as a company. And she turned around and told me, she said, Shilpi, too many babies, right? Where is your focus, right? She basically told me, you need to kill some and you need to mature some, right? A very simple statement. It was something I took to heart. So I think the first thing you need to build a sustainable organization is focus, and know what you want to, do with that, right? And continue on that path. Entrepreneurship is not a one-year journey. It's not a couple of months journey. It's a long haul. You're here for the long haul. So you need to be ready for that. So I think focus is one that one really needs. The second is, to just ask. I think most of us as entrepreneurs are so scared as new entrepreneurs that what will somebody say if we ask for this, or if we reach out to them, or if we touch base with them? Will they say no? I know I was the first person in accessibility in the country. There was nobody doing accessibility services, right? And being a first, I had to reach up to some of the largest tech companies in India. And believe me, every one of them closed the door on me and said, amazing work, brilliant, because I was really young at that time, like Khyati and Disha. It was like, wow, you're doing a great job, but nobody would give me business, right? And I remember as a social entrepreneur, when I had to go to my board and say, I know I told you I would make impact in India and work with Indian IT companies, but I think I need to move my focus west because nobody seems to know my value, right? So a social entrepreneur who had to say, I'm going to focus on the global market. I will give back by employing people with disabilities, doing advocacy in India, helping write policies in India for, nobody funding any of that. But I have to first survive. And if I don't survive, there will be no barrier break. So I think looking at that from that sustainability lens, looking at it objectively, knowing that you need a market. I see a lot of younger generation who forget that it is about sustainability beyond the point. The Flipkarts and the unicorns only happen few and far between. The rest of us have to struggle to get our money into the door. I think those are things that help. And then values, Karen. I think that's a very, very integral one. What are your values as an organization? What are your values as, from a people perspective? Today being Women's Day, 57% of barrier break is women, which is, and that makes me proud. I don't see the largest of companies get to that kind of number. And we are at 57% women. So I think those are the three things, if we work with, we can build sustainable organizations.
Awesome, great. So we're talking about values, we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about pioneering, we're talking about survival, focus, yeah? So many things that we need to we need to kind of put right there in front of us as we grow our enterprises. So I'm going to come to Disha, right? Because she is still in college and already into her enterprise. So Disha, tell me, and everybody, all professors from IIT, please close your ears, okay? Disha, please tell me, do institutes really prepare you with these kind of, lessons or these kind of skill sets that you think that we've heard are so critical, right, to get kind of be an entrepreneur? So how do you know, and how does this help you, your academic background? Please tell me.
So I think I personally don't think that, institutes have been a lot of help. At least from school to junior college, everything that I have learned has been rote learning. It's not, there haven't been a lot of things that I have been able to implement as of now. Yes, I have random strings of knowledge here and there. I know something about biology, I know something about history. It's good for having small conversations. But when you're running a business, I haven't really used anything per se, for for the business. On the other hand, I am currently in a mass communication college where I am studying advertising and marketing. uh, if you look at it in this perspective, yes, currently what I am learning has been benefiting me, because to get to advertising, we learn a lot about branding, we learn a lot about digital marketing, and these small aspects which we don't realize are very big and very important. So at the moment, yes, I do feel like my academic knowledge is helping me push to where I am, since I am in the marketing field of the company. On the other hand, if I wasn't so much into marketing, I do not know how much it would have helped me per se.
Sure. So I think functional skills, of course, are important, and most institutes are geared to giving you that. But I think there's also another step that goes forward, as Shilpi spoke about value systems, right? She spoke about using the sustainability lens, right? I think these are skills that go beyond the functional skills. And I think, Sonia, you mentioned that you won a fellowship. And I think, institutes like what IIT does in terms of promoting entrepreneurship specifically, and you have programs like fellowships. How has a fellowship program helped you, or being part of incubations and being part of these awards and competitions, which also I know Kathy and Disha have won, which, Kathy, I will be coming to you very soon with that. But Sonia, if you could touch on the power and value of doing fellowship or being associated with entrepreneur programs and incubators.
So I'm going to rewind a bit. I didn't have the chance to get the kind of education that Kyati and Disha did. I had to fight to even be in school. I had to fight, and in my last year, I was pulled out of university to get married. So now I realize what a challenge it was not having the tools and resources. But I will pick from Disha and tell you what Disha is actually saying. Disha is actually saying that we are learning by rote what we should learn by thought. Curiosity helps you unbox things. In India, sadly, our education, because we're such a big audience, we have 60 and 70 people in a class, you have to be taught by rote. You barely get the opportunity to be taught or to stroke your curiosity and your mind. So there's a different format of education needed. Can we do without education? I beg to differ. I think in hindsight, Disha, I'm sorry, I'm saying it like it's in hindsight, you will realize the value of what you got. And I unfortunately didn't get that. I learned while I was working. So it's like building a plane and flying it together. And that's been a big challenge for me. So while I was learning AI, while I was learning coding, I was already having a site up. Even today, while we're doing AR for many companies, I'm actually learning my coding. I'm actually learning it. I didn't go to a school to learn films. When I walked up in Cannes, I went to a room full of people who were all commissioning editors. And I stood there and said, I don't know how to make a film, but I know I have a burning issue to tell. If it wasn't a woman, Caroline Barrar, who took that opportunity and said, Cannes 4, that's Channel 4 in France, will back you up. We may not give you too much money, but we will teach you. If that teaching did not come in, I would have never succeeded. So teaching has its path in a way. It gives you the tools and resources to become who you are. And every incubation of mine has given me that refresher I've needed to be able to succeed. It's given me the tools and resources to succeed. And I remember winning a trophy from IIT, and my dream was to get into IIT, but I could never do it. Times were very difficult. Part of it was that I'm sorry, I think I got signed out from one of the this thing. So For me, it became really imperative and to tell everyone that in hindsight, your education will matter a lot. Right now, you have to think of it differently. You have to think of it more proactively, and you have to take what is the best. Wheat and chaff come together. Take the wheat out of the chaff. You will get knowledge. Knowledge is imperative. Knowledge is the future. Today, everybody will tell you that if you want to be successful tomorrow, you will need to get fresh knowledge. Be open to learning. And let me tell you, when you learn or when you teach, you learn twice. So every time you learn, you will learn twice. And education, true education, I will give Disha this point again. True education starts where studies end. Ending your studies, all of you IITians, when you end your studies, your education will become welcome to the College of Hard Knocks.
Absolutely. So true, Sonia. And thank you for putting that perspective in. And, I have a confession to make. Believe me, I used to, I always wanted to be a doctor. And then finally, I decided not to because I was a very lazy learner. Okay. And I thought I will never have the patience to sit through years of education to kind of make it as a doctor. Right. And therefore, I decided not to do that. And you will not believe, I mean, I became an engineer, but, you won't believe I'm still learning. Even today, I'm in a course, because you really, as Sonia said, in hindsight, you start realizing the value of education and the rigor of academia. And I tell you, I mean, while I, was kind of joking when I started out, I completely agree with what Sonia said. And like I said, still a learner today as well. So Kathy, you tell me, how has it been, winning an award and really being a part of something like what IIT offers in terms of promoting and supporting entrepreneurship, please?
Okay, so I'll just give a little update. So it so happened that when we were preparing in September 2020 was when we began our offline operations, and we were coming up with this minimum viable product, at least a basic proof of concept. And one of our mentors, he actually came and he pushed us to prepare for Eureka, which is IIT Bombay's ESL business plan competition. And we're like, I spoke to Disha and I'm like, what, let's just go ahead and give it a shot, and so we gave and we submitted our basic pitch deck, and it was like, okay, let's see how it goes. And it turns out that around in November we get selected for semi-finals, and that is when we were introduced to, so in semi-finals, I think out of 135 startups, 30 startups in our track were shortlisted, and we were all assigned 2 mentors each. And I remember, there was this intensive 2-week training program where, we even met our mentors, and, they helped us go through this entire process. And I still remember that, Disha, just add on to this, that we were just in the final bit of submission, and we had these 3, this thing, and it was challenging. We were supposed to answer questions which were difficult, which made us really think, are we actually going in the right direction? We thought that probably we were still okay, because it was still manageable. But then, our mentors challenged us to think. They're like, are you actually, you're like, Shilpi ma'am said that, so many things are there, but, you need to focus. So I can relate to that. And with the blessings of our family, with our mentors, I remember we'd gone for a tiny trip, and we get this notification on the last day that, you're selected in the finals of IIT Bombay's business plan competition. And we just had 2 days to prepare for our finals, and we come back. And I still remember that we started, we had to prepare our final pitch. We had to give, there was intensive training, last minute training. And till 12:30, we had to sit from morning se lekar raat ka na mein baithna tha. We were refining, we were giving feedbacks that, no, this is also supposed to be done. This is also needs to be done. And and I think the submission was on 30th January 2021 and 11:59. And just at 11:59, we're like, what, let's just give it. And then you're fast forward to the business plan. We had 10 panelists, and we were very nervous. Like, I still remember we were planning a pitch. We didn't know how to pitch. We were like, we knew what we wanted to say, but it was just not hitting. And on the last day, our pitch was around 1:15 in the morning. We both wake up and we were like, what? enough. We know this business. We've worked really hard for this. We sat, we wrote down our script. We must have practiced at least 10 times just till last minute, just till last minute of the pitch. And and we're like, so luckily it was on Zoom. So, we were very nervous, and I have a little bit of stage fright. And just till last minute, I'm like, you know what? Forget everything, just focus. You know your business, you know your plan, you've been working really hard, and just give it your best. And there's this point where we both stopped caring about everything in the world, and we gave it our best. We brought in our A game. And I think, I think our judges were impressed, because then one of our judges, recommended us to Aparna ma'am. And, because of that, you have the opportunity to come and share our story today. And we came first runner up, and I think it was a brilliant journey, and it was all worth it. I mean, I'm coming and speaking in front of all of you, so yeah.
Yeah, Khyati, thank you. We can almost, visualize your journey, the way you've taken us through this. And I think, this really puts the question forward, right? That, we do need support, whether it is our academic backgrounds, whether it is these kind of awards, fellowships, or then investors, as what Shilpi said. And so all, having an ecosystem that can support entrepreneurship is so important. And we all really know that, right? So we, as kind of brought out by all our panelists. But I think there is one element which we've still not touched on, and I'd really love for us to go there, is about government and policies, right? So Shilpi, I think maybe you and Sonia would perhaps be, more in that line to kind of talk a little bit about it, is how do we encourage entrepreneurship? And I would say, both kinds of entrepreneurship. And I normally don't like to separate types of entrepreneurship, but today we are talking about special things. So when we're talking about women entrepreneurship, when we're talking about social entrepreneurship, when we're talking of student entrepreneurship or sustainable entrepreneurship, I think there is a need for us to understand the special needs of each of this. And so Shilpi, if you could maybe touch a little bit about what do you think government and policies can help us in that regard, love to have your comments.
Okay, so I'm going to take a very different view on this. I think actually the policies are probably there, right? So like last year, I was a part of, the Niti Aayog Women Entrepreneurs Award, and I won an award last year. So I think there are systems and policies and structure and programs in place. The problem is getting to those systems, programs, and accessing those solutions, right? So when the government says that there is a women entrepreneur scheme and you can get a no collateral loan, and you have no way to reach that no collateral loan, that's the problem that I see, right? To move through that entire process, figure out whether you can get it. I remember there was a point that I needed a loan at Barrier Break, and government had said that all banks will have 5% or 1% lesser interest for women entrepreneurs. I couldn't find a single bank that was willing to give it to me. There wasn't a single bank on record. Right? So my challenge is we need to take some of those policies that are there, whether they're sitting with Niti Aayog or they're sitting with DST or they're sitting with Women and Child. We need to take those and we need to make them actionable for people, right? And we need to see how entrepreneurs can get it. See, the thing that Khyati spoke about, this is for the rest of your life, Khyati, you're going to go into pitches, you're going to be at awards, because there will be scale, there will be growth, there are going to be different, stages of an organization, right? And at every stage, you're going to go through the pangs and the challenges of that. And you wish that you could get government support, right? So like there is an export promotion scheme, right? If you're exporting software, but can you believe it? We've never been able to get it, right? Ever, we've done all the paperwork in the world, but we've never been able to access the scheme, right? And it actually is like you get back 5% from the government on your revenue. That is huge. It can make me create a new product if I had 5% of my revenue. So when we look at it, we need organizations like IIT, right, to actually start spearheading this with the government and saying, these are great policies. Let's put that in a way that, package it in a way that people can get to it. If you want IP help, you want copyright help, you want a banker, you want, advice on loans. We need that infrastructure in place, Sharon. And so I don't think we lack policy. I think we lack implementation and access to those policies.
So true, Shilpi. And when we got started with Idobro, I think we really thought of it from that point of view of using media and marketing tools for creating awareness. Unfortunately, marketing was a dirty word in the social sector. No one wanted to. One, they thought it was too commercial and too business-like, and two, nobody had budgets for it, right? I mean, you can come up with the best of schemes, you can come up with the best of policies, but if people don't know about it and cannot reach out to it, then what is the point of it? And unfortunately, more and more you see, it's the same people getting the awards, the same people getting the loans, the same people getting invested in. And so, that's a really sad cycle. I mean, of course they deserve because of the work that they're doing, but there are also many more that are out there who need that support. And I agree with you that it's the awareness and the access that really is the problem in most cases. So thank you for definitely saying that. So I can see a lot
of... actually disagree, yeah.
Sonia, I'll just come to you in 2 seconds, yeah? So I can see a lot of conversations happening on the chat box and I just love it. So please keep that going. Completely ignore me if you have to, but keep that really, really busy. And yes, once in a while, keep coming back to us, okay? Because we are having an interesting conversation right here as well. So Sonia, over to you, and please do disagree because we love an argument.
Okay, so I started in 2000. 2000 is 22 years before the time of the government interference and startups became cool and everything. And I think we achieved a lot more without anything. Aditya Thackeray was on a platform 2 days ago and he asked Paula Marivala, do you really want government intervention and support? And her answer was exactly my answer.
You don't.
We want enablement, like Shilpi rightly says. That enablement is missing. Now, I'm going to give you my example from a very far away country where women are seen as people who are second grade. My first film was called Dubai, D-O-B-U-Y. It was actually talking about how government of Dubai has not supported women entrepreneurship. It took the government, my husband said, please leave the country, you're going to get arrested. I said, no, I'm going to stand. I did it. I'm going to stand here. And guess what? The day he gave me the award, he said, you raised the issue, you're going to be a part of the solution. Come tell us where we're going wrong. And today we have more women grant than men grant. Today we've got more women in offices than we have men. We have a beautiful structure in a building called Dubai Design District, which supports it. Dubai Women Entrepreneurship and Business Clubs that support our growth. I have got my fellowships based from here, and I've got funding based from here in grant funding. I've never had to go for VC funding, which Shilpi will tell you is a nosebleed to take and often will not let you survive sustainably. That comes because we get grants. So I think where I agree with Shilpi and you all is that we need to find implementation in India. There's enough policy. If there's anything India can do right, it's write policies. Can we do it right by us, by actually leading implementation? Karon, I don't think we should leave it at IITs alone. We need people like you. You've been doing it, and more power to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. As always, you bring in very, very different and diverse perspectives. And of course, fight governments and everybody included. So remote power to you as well. I think, this is brought up again, another thing. So while government, of course, is very important, we looked at funding as another key aspect of this. And I can see that there is very different types of funding in all the three. I love it. The diversity of my panel is so fantastic that I can cover every topic without having to even think twice, right? So Shilpi is VC funded, Sonia is grant funded, and Kathy and Disha is family funded for now, I think, right? Okay. So why don't we talk a little bit about funding and how that reduces the stress? If you already know that, that kind is taken care of, how does that help you to really focus on the rest of your enterprise or create pressure otherwise also? Yeah. Kathy, would you like to go next?
Thank you so much for this question. So currently we're bootstrapped. We're very grateful that, our father decided to invest in us. And even though it's limited, but it is very important because number one is, we need to keep track since, we're just beginning, we're on very limited resources. We need to go lean. And, it's so easy to just burn money like that, where you have to see. And my father is a, what do you say, Kattar businessman. He doesn't understand. He's literally teaching me. He's like, आप ऐसे नहीं बोलते हो. You want money, you teach us, you tell me. अगर मैं इधर डालता हूँ तो मुझे कितना investment मिलेगा, कहाँ मिलेगा. And it took me a lot of time to go with the proposal. And he understands. ठीक है, इतना लोगे आप मुझे इतना return दोगे. आप इतने लोगे तो आप मुझे इतने return दोगे. You want to spend on marketing? You tell me how is it going to implement? Is it actually generating revenue? So we have these challenging questions, which is the beginning, and it really helps us, open our eyes to even the little, financial management is such a big skill. And, since just coming out of college, I just wanted to add to what Sonia ma'am and, Disha said that in colleges and institutions and even in schooling, I think it is very imperative that we must have financial management skills taught to us. Because, and that to real life, actually, just saving money is not enough. How do you invest? How do you generate returns? It's not just about helping us in the business. It is about helping and managing our personal finances. And once we know how to make the, as Robert Kiyosaki, says, make the money work for you. You shouldn't work for the money. It is such an imperative skill. And, just bootstrapping right now, I sense the pressure. So, I would actually love to know, with Shilpi ma'am and, Sonia ma'am, how is their perspective that, these different forms of financial instruments really, the kind of pressure that, they bring onto this, onto us. Yeah.
Wow, that was some insight into making money and getting returns on every single action. Whoa. I think I am learning something very important over here, because I think somewhere, we tend to lose sight and say, oh, that's okay, never mind, it's all right, it's worth it, But then what is worth it? I mean, what do you mean by worth it? I think it's so important, right? Sonia, you are muted in case you wanted to say something, but yeah. So
I was enjoying this. I was totally enjoying Kathy's thing. I was watching Shilpa have this smile on her face, which made me think, you know what? I understand where Shilpa's dry smile comes from, because her journey and her accountability, God, you must have been the toughest.
Absolutely.
I have accountability in accounts, but bravo, more power to you.
Absolutely.
I will tell you, Kathy, what I went through.
Do share, because I think it's really important for Kathy and like me, if we ever go for venture capital funding.
Yeah.
Will we actually? So I've grown partly with grant funding, and partly my B2B, my supply side, my partners, my business partners have helped me grow. Which doesn't mean external business partner. It means my customers have helped me grow.
Great.
Customers support my growth. And that is what has kept me away from venture capital. Also, the fact that I got several funds from Interlac and stuff like that, which kind of made me grow. But like you, Shilpi, I really, and Karon, you who've grown yourself, I want to hear it from you guys now.
Okay, we just have 10 minutes. It's unbelievable how quickly time flies, isn't it? And we've been having fun also, I think, along
lots of fun.
with the great insights that you're getting. So Disha, you tell me, youngsters today, just now Kathy spoke about how important it is to get returns on money. And, youngsters today are so clear that if they're not going to make enough money, the job is just not worth it. But is job the only way? And so a lot of youngsters are also moving into the gig economy, right? So they are entrepreneurs in some sense, because they could potentially grow their consulting or their gig work into something much bigger. So what would you tell them? I mean, I'm sure many youngsters are there waiting to hear from you on this. Tell me.
So coming from a media college, most of us, most of my batchmates are busy taking on small projects for, to grow themselves, because media is such an industry where you can work on a lot of things at the same time. Now benefits of gig economy is that, you're not tied to one, you're not tied to one company. You're not tied to anything in particular. You have the opportunity to, explore different fields. Now, since advertising and movie creation and public relations doesn't really have to be for one thing in itself. They are in so many, every uh, industry in itself also requires all of these four platforms. So in that sense, it's a major exposure. So when women or when other students who want to go into the entire process of gig economy, it's a better way for them to learn more about all the various industries that are out there, because then they'll able to actually figure out ki this is something that works for me and this doesn't, so they know where to put a stop to
Wow.
their kind of choices.
I wish I'd heard you when I was your age. I would have saved myself a lot of heartbreak, right? Because trial and error at the initial stage is something you can afford, but you cannot later. And so I think that was brilliant advice. Disha, thank you so much for sharing that. That yes, the gig economy definitely gives you those opportunities to test out, learn, explore what you're good at. And, I think I'm not going to tell you when, because that will reveal my age, and I don't want to do that right now. But yes, it took us a long time for us to really understand what are we really good at. And in fact, my personal story, which was there in the Chicken Soup series, actually is pause and twist, because I had all the time had to pause and start twisting around to find my way out of the knots I created, right? So we made enough of mistakes. And I think that is one more thing I'd like to touch on, is the kind of mistakes and failures from which we could learn from. And hopefully, Kathy and Disha, you don't have too many of those. So I am going to hand it over to Shilpi and Sonia to maybe give us a few insights on some of those lessons learned. Yeah. Sonia, go for it.
Before I go for it, can I make a comment on the gig economy?
Yes, please.
This is more for the students. 84% of talent managers who were right now interviewed said that they will only hire 80 to 90% of their talent in 2030. So gig economy is not just an option, it is a must do. Start building your brand, your company on with gig workers. So when I go and hire a gig worker, they also give me a value, like a revert, a feedback, which builds my company up. Gig economy is important especially for us women. So this is a shout out for all the women. It gives us equal opportunity. It gives us freedom from the 9 to 5 schedule. It has changed the talent equation. So a recent Noble House survey reported, and this is quantifiable, that 40% of the consultants on their platform were women. And they accounted for 60% of the projects completed. Now tell me, what does that say about women? We can perform. Now, it's also changed the pay caps between us. Today on a platform, whether you're a man or a woman, you're chosen for your work. You do good marketing work, I'll choose you. You've created a flatliner. We need to go more gig and upskilling. It gives us complete time to upskill ourselves again and again and again. Like you said, we have to pivot. And hyper specialization. We women are especially, we have hyper specialization that a lot of men don't do in their subjects. I think this could be a big one for us. So yes. Now
Thanks, Sonia. Unfortunately, we have just 5 minutes, and I think the conversation on failures is probably a full session by itself. So Aparna, if you want to hear about how failures can be stepping stones to success, then we need to have another panel. Right now, I think I want to ask my last and final question, so that we really close on time, and I'm very clear that we must stick with that timeline, right? So Shilpi, I'm going to ask you to perhaps lead the question on the technology, because that's been like the heart of what you do. And also given the pandemic and the COVID situation, technology has played a big role in every single thing, pivoting in businesses to practices in business, in enterprises and corporates, as well as at home. So maybe Shilpi, a little quick thing on what does technology really mean, and how does disability, accessibility across the spectrum of people really matter?
I think technology has obviously changed the entire landscape. Look at us here, right? We are sitting, talking, an audience which otherwise we might not have ever gotten in contact with. But from an accessibility perspective and a disability perspective, we surely have a problem, right? We obviously have a challenge in having solutions which are accessible to people with disabilities, right? So, for example, Zoom as a platform was sued because it does not have live captioning and automatic captioning. So when you think about accessibility, it's about true inclusion, right, of people with different needs. As an organization, I need to buy an HRMS system and I can't find an accessible one which is out of India, right? Now, that means that I employ disabled people, but I'm again discriminating against them because the tools I'm using in my organization are inaccessible. So now as an organization, I wouldn't do that. So I can't take an application like Zoho because it's inaccessible, right? Now, so where do I go? So when I look at the world of technology, there's an opportunity, but there's also discrimination that we need to be careful of. And that's why barrier break, right? And that's really what we are to do. So I think the question is, how does everybody look at this? Do we really look at inclusion and diversity truly? Or are we looking at it just as, catchphrase from a marketing perspective? But are we really going out and doing what we need to do? So my take is technology can be an enabler. Let's make it that. Let's not make it a tool for discrimination.
Awesome. I think that was so perfectly summed up, Shilpi. So we have the last 3 minutes, and I'm going to ask each one of you to give the last line, last thought, last insight, our ideas, because I'm sure all our audience is just waiting to hear more from you. Last lines, Kathy and Disha, go for it.
Yeah, I would just like to conclude by saying that dream big, keep working hard. You gotta want it bad, and you have to keep trying every single day, no matter what happens. I mean, if Disha and I, who are just 20 and 23 years old, can come here and speak, I'm sure you guys can too. So keep dreaming, keep working hard, and it's going to be possible. It is going to happen. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
That's awesome. Disha, go for it.
In conclusion, I'd like to say that work hard, but do not forget to balance your your social and your your personal, your work and your social life, because as much as we're workaholics and as much as we love working, it is very important to take breaks and then take time for yourself, because in the process of making something big, do not lose yourself. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Words of the wise and the young. Wow. Good. Sonia?
For me, it's find your ikigai. Ikigai is a concept which says iki, which means alive, and kai, which means life. Bring your life purpose together with what you do in your profession. It's not about the profits, it's about the passion and it's about the purpose. And it'll help you go through all your challenges. Like Shilpi rightly said, use technology as an enabler. I was a coder. Does it help? No. Today there's low code. Will blockchain help? No. But know it all. Bring together all that you learn, keep it as resources. Let that be the well springs of your tomorrow. Best of luck to every IIT in here. Find your ikigai. Come alive.
Beautiful, very beautiful. Shilpi.
Well, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. If you decide to ride it, hold on tight and enjoy the journey. There'll be highs and lows. Find people around you as an ecosystem that will get you through those highs and those lows, and pull along. But believe me, it is a high that when you feel it, there is none other, at least for me. So best luck to all of you if you decide to take that route.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Reactions, clap, whatever you'd like to do. You can also do it physically, because we just had an incredible conversation with 4 very, 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 very beautiful and amazing women entrepreneurs. Congratulations to all of you 4, and wishing you all the very best with all your endeavors going forward.
Karan, this one is for you.
Thank you very much.
Wind beneath everybody's wings. It's people. Rao that power us and keep us going. Keep that up.
Thank you,
Karon, it's you, it's people like Aparna Rao who bring everybody together. We need that. We really, really need that. So thank you for IIT for
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. To you.
Disha, on your journey.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank
Thanks.
you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.